Hello everybody and welcome to my monthly look at the light novel series that are making their debut, this being for the month of December 2020, the last month of this rather odd, strange, and sometimes very long year. This month we have a number of debuts, in fact 3 of them coming from Soul Press, who hasn't had a new series premiere in some time and just decided to actually drop them all like a bomb, not only in the same month, but on the same day. So we're going to have lots to talk about with them, as well as premieres from J Novel Club, Cross Infinite World, Yen On, and Seven Seas. So there's a whole whack ton of stuff that is coming out in December. If you want to see all of the light novels that are releasing in this month, I've got links to EnglishLightNovels.com in the description down below where you can check out everything that's coming out in December. And I've got a number of the releases that are coming out in the following months in 2021 as well, if you want to take a look at those. So with all of that said, let's get started with our first release, which is on December 10th, and this one coming to us from Seven Seas. It's a digital advance release, so this one, the print isn't coming out for another month or two, and that is Failure Frame. I became the strongest and annihilated everything with low-level spells. Abruptly catapulted into a fantasy world, Mimori Toka and his classmates have been summoned by the world's resident goddess to serve as heroes. Luckily, most of the students display amazing skills upon arrival, except for Mimori, whose abilities bottom out at a measly E rank. With no further use for him, the goddess banishes Mimori to a dungeon from which no one has ever returned alive. Yet, as it turns out, Mimori's skills aren't so much worthless as they are abnormal. Abnormally powerful, even. If Mimori can only claw his way back to the surface, nothing will stand in his way from getting revenge. So, I think that sounds a lot like Arifureta. Obviously, there are some differences. It's not like he's betrayed by a classmate. He's betrayed by... well, not even betrayed. The goddess is just like, I got no use for you. So I can see where the hatred of the gods and stuff could be a little bit more immediate in this series. It was a little more subtle at the beginning of Arifureta, but definitely same kind of idea, right? Whole class gets summoned. One dude's got what appear to be useless and average abilities and gets tossed in a dungeon where he learns to use those abilities to become ridiculously OP. You know what? It's another action fantasy OP main character series to check out, and I'm sure it'll probably have some harem action in there just to round it out. On December 15th, we have 2 titles coming from Yen On. One of them is a brand new slice of life series. The other is actually a spin-off of another popular light novel series. First off, we have The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten. Amane lives alone in an apartment, and the most beautiful girl in school, Mahiru, lives just next door. They've almost never spoken, until the day he sees her in distress on a rainy day and lends her his umbrella. To return the favor, she offers him help around the house, and a relationship slowly begins to blossom as the distance between them closes. Now, I've heard from quite a few people that this is just a very heartwarming, sweet slice of life. One of those just wrap you in a warm blanket, which is, at least in my part of the world, is perfect for this time of year as things get cold and snowy and ugly outside. So it's probably the perfect book to have at this time of year. And again, another slice of life series, which is always welcome because we're starting to get more and more of them, but definitely it's been something that has been very popular manga and anime wise, but we haven't hit that level in light novel releases yet, but we're slowly getting there. This one has also been on Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi for the past at least 2 years, so again, a series that is doing well and fairly well regarded at the same time. Also on December 15th from Yen On, we have Goblin Slayer Side Story 2, Dai Katana. Not a soul knows how the death and destruction started. Only one thing is certain. It came from the north. Deep within the dungeon of the dead is where the Demon King resides, and the only hope humanity has of defeating this great evil rests on the shoulders of a handful of adventurers. This tale of Sword Maiden's past smells of ash and sounds like the ringing of bare steel. So obviously Goblin Slayer spin-off, it's the second one because of course the first one was the prequel series that showed how Goblin Slayer became Goblin Slayer. This one now diving into the past of Sword Maiden. Of course, we've met her in the main series within like the first 2 or 3 volumes, where we find out that she was part of the party that defeated the Demon Lord. So spoilers, I guess. We're going to find out how she did it, which could be really cool. And the cover is like super cool looking. I've fallen off of reading Goblin Slayer, but this one I might just pick this one up because it sounds pretty cool actually. On December 18th, we get a new release from Cross Infinite World, and that is I Reincarnated as Evil Alice, so the only thing I'm courting is death. Struck by a car while saving a kitten, I died and reincarnated as the heroine of Evil Alice's Lover, my absolute favorite otome game. But before I could even enjoy my new life as Alice, I remembered something important. Even though this is a game about dating, there are so many bad endings it won the award for Deadliest Game of the Year. I'm not allowed to fall in love if I want to live, but the death flags just keep coming. Packed with suspense and romance, this is the story of my gothic romantic comedy. So I think this kind of says it all. First of all, the artwork, very evocative, of course, of Alice in Wonderland, Evil Alice. I mean, come on, it's pretty obvious. I'm really a sucker for that, I have to confess. One of my favorite manga series of all time is Pandora Hearts, which isn't exactly Alice in Wonderland, obviously, but it does kind of riff on it here and there. There are certain elements. This one looks, I would say, far more inclined to be a sort of inspired by the whole Alice in Wonderland thing. And it's kind of funny because Cross Infinite World was even saying on their Twitter stream that there is like a whole subset of otome games that are like really known for being horrible, like having dark endings, having even the good endings are kind of bleak and stuff like that. So they've kind of picked up a couple of otome type game series that are much more in that dark and gothic type thing, which I think could be actually really cool. Now, on December 21st, we have another new release from Cross Infinite World. Now, I covered this in my November video. Unfortunately, it got delayed sort of a little bit last minute, so it's now being pushed off until December 21st, and that is Reincarnated as the Last of My Kind. This one about a girl who is, of course, swept away, isekai'd, finds out that she is not exactly human, and decides that she's going to do everything that she can to make life better for the soldier who has taken her in and is caring for her. So sounds very much like a heartwarming slice of life fantasy type series, which again, I mean, it could be really good. I'm just hoping it doesn't kind of go to the creepy thing. Although at least in this, I don't think they have like a father-daughter relationship necessarily, but I don't know, and I guess we'll just have to see. On December 23rd, we get the only premiere from J-Novel Club. I mean, let's be fair, we've gone months with them releasing 2, 3, 4 brand new series a month, so we'll give them this one. This one is actually a shoujo title, and that is Girls' Kingdom. All Misaki wanted was a free education. Instead, she accidentally lands an exclusive contract with the most prestigious girl in school to serve as her personal maid. Misaki soon discovers that Amanotsuku Academy for Girls is no ordinary school. Her classes are all about how to be a maid too. Students who impress the school's elite young ladies with their domestic service skills might be lucky enough to become a seraph, guaranteeing them a job with an upper-class household after they graduate. But Misaki doesn't want to be a maid. She just wants to study hard, go to college, and work for a good company. So why did Himeko make her into her seraph out of nowhere? What kind of rich girl hires a maid who wants nothing to do with the job? If she wants to get through high school, Misaki has a lot to get used to. So this one is kind of interesting because J-Novel Club, I understand that this was released over a number of volumes, and J-Novel Club are releasing them in English as kind of omnibus. I think they're doing them just over 2 or 3 volumes, and originally I think they were 6. I know there was more because I actually contacted J-Novel Club because I couldn't tell. Their cover was different than the Japanese, and like none of the Japanese covers looked like the cover they have for this book, but I guess they've got some new artwork that's being done for these omnibus editions. So it's kind of cool to see that J-Novel Club is releasing some books in different formats, giving us some sort of, releasing them in ways that aren't necessarily a complete mirror of the Japanese releases. So this one, definitely, it sounds like it's got some shoujo yuri type elements to it. So if that is up your alley, this might be one to check out. On December 28th is when we have Soul Press dropping their 3 brand new series. They just announced these like a month or so ago, and bang, they're dropping them all on the same day. Now, these are all coming out digitally first. However, they did say during their licensing announcement event that all of their titles would eventually get physical releases. And I know some of you that we've heard that story before. However, I have seen evidence that they have print books and they are shipping them out. One of the podcast members just got all 4 volumes of Chivalry of a Failed Knight delivered to him. They seem to look pretty good. So I think Soul Press is kind of getting their footing back under them. And they've got a couple of pretty good titles, it sounds like, with this rollout. So let's just get right into them. So first up, we have I Surrendered My Sword for a New Life as a Mage. One day, Soma learns that he was reincarnated from a powerful swordsman. In this life, however, all he wants to do is master magic. When he learns that he has no skills at all in this life, he gets left behind by his family. With no magic skills, most would assume he'll never be able to cast even a single spell. But Soma isn't ready to take no for an answer. I don't really know much about... Actually, I don't really know anything about the series that they have licensed. I mean, I have heard of this one before, but I am not familiar with it. Again, it's sort of going in that whole isekai, but not an isekai, right? So fantasy reborn in another fantasy world, and this time decides that he wants to be a mage instead of a swordsman. That could be kind of cool. Honestly, it would be cool if he finds a way to combine the two, like his magic is based somehow in his sword skills. That could be cool, and I have no idea if that's actually what happens, because I don't know the series, but that could be a neat little twist, I think. Next up on December 28th, Soul Press is releasing The Game Master Has Logged Into Another World. The MMO is taking the world by storm. Become a GM today and gain access to unique and powerful abilities. Masaki Todo, game master for the popular MMORPG Britannia Online, collapses on his way to a ramen shop. When he awakes, he finds himself in a world ravaged by war and chaos. In this new world, countless other players have been summoned from various games and forced to do battle. The moment he arrives, Masaki is put on the execution block. If he wants to escape, he'll have to call on his powers, a collection of GM-only skills that even cheaters can't replicate. So okay, he's an OP main character. It's a game world, not a game world. The only thing that I kind of think makes this sound interesting, like a little bit of a different twist, is that they say it's players of numerous games that are being summoned into this world. So it isn't like he's being summoned into a game world that just mirrors the game that he was playing. It sounds like he's been brought into an entirely different world, and then all these other people from different games are being brought in as well. That could be kind of neat. Like, it could give a lot of room for different types of battles, and of course, you know, you're gonna get into that different idea of these players being sort of completely discombobulated, because it's not like they can even sit there and go, oh, well, I know how this works because it's similar to this game that I played. It doesn't sound like that's the case at all. So it's obviously, the setup sounds a bit familiar to many light novel readers, but I think that there is room here that if the author handles it right, there could be some interesting twists and sort of a slight different take on the genre. Finally, on December 28th, from Soul Press, we have Let This Grieving Soul Retire. Woe is the weakling who leads the strongest party. The Golden Age has dawned for treasure hunters who raid treasure vaults all over the world in search of glory, despite the dangers. Immeasurable wealth, fame, and power await those who prevail. Let's be treasure hunters! This promise between Cry Andre and his friends came to a sad conclusion when young Cry realized he didn't have a treasure hunting bone in his body. Yet for some reason, people's expectations of Cry continued to grow, as did the dangers to his life. While his friends became greater, greedier beasts, Cry mastered the art of begging and pleading. Witness the weal and woe of a man who just wants to retire. I don't know very much about this title. However, it did appear on the Bunkobon list of this year's Kono light novel ga Sugoi, which admittedly was kind of surprising to me because I hadn't heard of it until Soul Press announced their license of it, and I was quite surprised to see it on Kono light novel ga Sugoi. So I don't know a lot about it, but there were some really decent titles on, actually no, I take that back, not on Bunkobon, it was on the Tankobon list of the Kono light novel ga Sugoi. I forgot Bunkobon had like no fantasy whatsoever, whereas the Tankobon list was almost entirely fantasy isekai. In any case, so it's on the Tankobon list, and like I said, hadn't heard of it till then. So, I don't know. I'm based on the description, I mean, it could be a fun kind of comedic romp. Probably one of those sort of things where either the main character completely underestimates himself, and that's why everybody seems to think he can do so well, and yet he wants to retire, or it's one of those things where he just gets really lucky a lot. I mean, either way could be entertaining. As I said, this one, with it showing up on Kono light novel ga Sugoi, I must admit that made me a little bit more curious about checking this one out. Our final new release of December comes to us on December 29th, and it's from Yen On, and that is The World's Finest Assassin Gets Reincarnated in Another World. When a great assassin is reborn in another world, he finds himself the heir to a long line of killers from the shadows. With both his modern-day knowledge and experience, and the special magic and techniques of this new world, he could very well become the most unstoppable assassin in history. Now, I admit I was not all that, excited about this title when it was first announced. I was like, well, okay, he's an anti-hero assassin, blah, blah. However, when this was licensed, we talked about it on the Light Novel podcast, and I don't want to spoil it, but there is a reason that he has come to this world and just happens to be a top assassin who has been reborn into a family of assassins. There is a reason for it. And the reason has made me quite interested in reading this book. Like I said, I don't really want to spoil it per se because I thought it was kind of a cool twist, and they don't really mention it obviously in the blurb, so but I will definitely say that this one sounds like it could be kind of cool, and the setup of it has me interested. I'll leave it at that. So those are all the light novel series making their debut during the month of December of 2020. Which ones have you been waiting for? Are you looking most forward to? Which ones did I maybe cover that you were like, oh, that sounds like it could be cool? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, if you want to see all of the light novels releasing during the month of December and beyond, make sure you hit that link in the description to EnglishLightNovels.com, where we do our best to try and always keep it updated with as much information as possible about upcoming releases. I know I have at least 1 or 2 titles up into September of 2021 on there, and every week or so I try to go through and update it and put in all the new release dates that we have. So hopefully it is a fairly accurate and good source of information, not to mention it's got reviews as well as all sorts of information about the series that we have officially released in English. So make sure you check that out if you want to know more. In the meantime, thank you for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.